The mother of William Edgewood is outraged at Microsoft Xbox Live for labeling her son a cheater and taking away everything he's earned online.
He got online and it says cheater under his gamer tag, and they wiped off every achievement from every game he's ever owned. Yeah.
They steal all my achievements that I got that it took me like 200 days.
Some of you may actually remember hearing about this story. I remember hearing about this one on my local news, surprisingly, back in the day. There was an autistic kid living in Seattle who was a huge fan of Xbox Live and playing online multiplayer games. However, outrage came when Xbox decided to update the kid's profile to label him as a cheater. This actually led the kid to become pretty upset, and his mother ended up reaching out to Xbox and the local news station, and Q13 Fox jumped on the story to kind of try to get to the bottom of what was going on here. Now, if you guys remember back in the Xbox Live days, over in your profile, there was like this little section where you would be able to choose what you identified as your gaming style. Like you could say you're pro or underground or something like that, whatever you felt like you wanted to label yourself as. There were a couple of different options, but if Xbox found that you were cheating, they would go ahead and update that option and change it to cheater, and there was nothing you could essentially do about it. Now, Q13 Fox, they looked into this. The mother insisted that her son was not cheating, but was, quote, very gifted at gaming. She pointed out that he plays more than the average person, so he's very skilled because of it. And by Xbox Live labeling him as a cheater, it was cutting off essentially one of his only social outlets. So this news ended up getting picked up. Kotaku covered it, and they actually reached out to Xbox Live directly, and Xbox responded saying that gamerscore resets are done when cheating is detected to keep live fun, fair, and safe for everyone. We only do it when we are 100% confident that cheating has occurred, and they are not something that can be appealed. Details can be found here. What an interesting response from Microsoft. Actually, going a step further, back on Twitter, back when Twitter was a thing, Stephen Toulouse, who was the director of policy and enforcement for Xbox Live, actually tweeted about this specific incident, saying that they confirmed that they were cheated achievements and they gave the parent details, and then he also verified that this wasn't a he played too good situation at all. Okay, so then the mother, who nowadays no longer has a Twitter account, but back in the day did go on Twitter, upon finding more information out about what exactly caused the ban, did decide to clear the air with new information she had acquired, but it seemed like somehow someone gained access to the kid's account. Likely her kid gave access to her account to someone who knew how to do this, but someone went in and hacked multiple achievements onto the Xbox Live account in question. This was because back in the old Halo 3 days, if you got 7 of the most challenging achievements across 2 different Halo games, you could redeem the Recon armor in Halo 3. This was like a really big deal. Recon armor was like the most sought after armor. It was the biggest achievement, and after ODST came out in 2009, anyone who went and got the 7 Vidmaster achievements done would be able to claim the Recon armor. But since he wasn't doing the achievements or couldn't do the achievements, someone decided to hack the achievements onto his account for him, which then resulted in Microsoft flagging the cheating and him getting the name cheater on his account. Honestly, getting the label cheater really wasn't that big of a deal back in the day, other than it being on your profile. It still was way better than the console ban a lot of players ended up getting back in the day for having J-tagged Xboxes or other forms of cheating being caught, where people straight up would get a ban that didn't expire until December 31st, 9,999. This ban was a little bit more blanket, and a lot of people got it, especially in the Modern Warfare 2 days when J-tagging Xboxes was becoming very, very prominent, and they were trying to put a stop to those hacking methods back then. So yeah, these bans were pretty harsh and pretty strong, but they were given out. So getting the little cheater tag is more of a relic from the older Xbox Live days when things were a little bit more lax before they really had to buckle down in the competitive scene to keep multiplayer games alive. Xbox definitely didn't want their online cheater scene to be as bad as the PlayStation 3 had it back in these days. Also, just a quick side note, I feel like this is the dirtiest controller I've seen. This is, I don't know, the controller that they zoomed in on, just yikes. There was also that time, it was absolutely crazy, some of you might remember this, when H1Z1 players, do you guys remember that Dead Battle Royale game, would get banned for cheating, and essentially, I don't know, the studio decided to have some fun with it and said that if you wanted to have a chance to have your account unbanned after you're caught cheating, you had to upload an apology video of yourself admitting to cheating and asking for forgiveness. What on earth is this approach? Well, surprisingly enough, a ton of people who got banned for cheating came forward and actually uploaded uploaded videos hoping and praying that they would get their H1Z1 account back after they were caught cheating. They would apologize, they would swear to never cheat again, and that usually was the end of the story. I actually don't think too many players actually ever got their accounts back after they were caught cheating, so I don't know if that was like just a meme on the cheaters and add some salt in the wound, but you know what? Being on the receiving side of someone who like blatantly cheats in a multiplayer game, like it's never fun. It really just can ruin a game for you. I mean, it's ruined Rainbow Six for me multiple times. It's ruined games like PUBG. So sometimes it's fun to see these people squirm a bit when they finally do get caught. Fall Guys, on the other hand, had a really big cheating problem, surprisingly. I mean, who really needs to cheat in Fall Guys? I don't know. It's probably like the guy I have in my Duolingo leaderboard who I think has been cheating for a while. You just don't understand why people need to cheat in games like this, but nonetheless, Fall Guys had a really big cheating problem for a while. Now, there's limited footage of this, but I guess for a little while, when the main way that people were cheating was finally detected, the team at Fall Guys decided to have some fun with it and implemented a cheater island mode, and essentially grouped all of the players together who were using the cheats that were now detectable by whatever implementations the Fall Guys team were able to add in, and it would put them in a game all together that at the end of the race where you would win everything, it would just grab everyone and put them in like a little vortex just inches away from the crown, making it incredibly hard to escape. So even though everyone could just like go straight to the end, they were all stuck, and then like sometimes someone would break out and the match would end. But it definitely led to an even more random and less fun experience, especially being paired with other cheaters, not being able to beat like real players, and then also like the game being broken to the point where like it was just random who would end up winning. Kind of ruined the game for a lot of those cheaters, and I hope that maybe kept them away. I doubt it, but I feel like cheats are at least less common than they were at the peak of Fall Guys when there were cheaters literally everywhere. I still see some people that I think are a little sus with how fast they move, but it definitely wasn't like people just flying straight to the end like it was in the earlier days of Fall Guys.
In 2017, Epic Games decided to take a bunch of cheaters to court over copyright infringement for their game Fortnite. Now, while there's a lot of specifics on a lot of these cases, there's one case that caught the public's eye, and that is because one of the people Fortnite was suing was a 14-year-old that was running a YouTube channel promoting cheats for Fortnite. Now, this was pretty publicized in the gaming news media, and I kept seeing this on Twitter all the time. But to be fair, Epic didn't know that they were suing a 14-year-old, but they also didn't back down once they found out. And there was some back and forth between the court and the mother of the defendant, and they kind of tried to get out of it by citing that the EU LA or whatever, like the thing you sign when you boot up the game or whatever, is not legally binding, but I don't think the court agreed with that. So the copyright lawsuit actually went on and eventually was settled out of court. Now, since this does involve someone who's very young, and by the time the lawsuit wasn't settled wasn't even 18, all the stuff is like private and we don't know his name or anything like that. And we also don't know the sum that they eventually would settle for. But there's one more case from around the same time that we do know a little bit more information for, and that was an Australian cheater called Place FN. Fortnite would sell him for the same reasons: copyright infringement for promoting and selling cheats, and also cheating in their video game. But I think this one was a big operation because there was a Place FN shop and you could buy accounts and cheats and everything on there. So this was actually like a cheat maker. Now, it isn't quite known the sum they eventually would settle for, but this case was also settled as well. Actually, the money that came out of that settlement, Epic Games agreed to donate to Child's Play, which is like a charity that helps children and teens that are in hospitals. So I guess that's a good ending for this. But also the guy had to publicly apologize, and he tweeted out a statement saying that he apologizes to the Fortnite community and that what he did was illegal and unfair over other players, and he will never do it again. And also people shouldn't contact him about cheats anymore. But I do want to add that the settlements probably weren't massive at the end of the day because, you know, they were selling private people. I assume the kid settlement was like very low, and I mean, maybe this guy's settlement was a little higher because he actually ran a shop. But hey, at the end of the day, they went after both of these cheaters, and these cheaters are probably never gonna cheat again.
Call of Duty since the beginning has always had a massive problem with cheaters, especially with the rise of online, all the way through the modern day era when they jumped to free-to-play, with Warzone being this battle royale game that anyone could access. I guess Call of Duty's been working on an anti-cheat system. I think it's called Ricochet, and I mean, I don't believe it really works all that well. There's just so many clips you'll see online of people blatantly hacking, especially over on the Warzone side of things, which obviously a free-to-play game makes it very easy for people to make new accounts once their account does get banned, and they're able to jump right back into cheating. Interestingly enough though, Call of Duty has done a little bit to circumvent the high number of cheaters by allegedly taking the players who are likely cheating and then putting them in specific lobbies away from most of the general public. This in turn is supposedly supposed to make it where players don't realize that they've received a shadow ban as quickly, meaning that they'll continue to play and try to troubleshoot what's going on and why they're not doing so well all of a sudden before they finally realize that, oh, my account's probably been shadow banned. But it also runs the risk of generally good players getting falsely reported maybe for being good and accidentally getting shadow banned, because obviously a shadow ban is not as easy to tell if you're shadow banned than if you're actually just banned and blocked out of the game. I don't think the systems that they have in place is flawless yet. And then there's like a gray area as like what constitutes as full-on cheating. Is it using third-party apps and programs? Obviously. But what about things like little glitches? Where's the line drawn? Without having like specific rule sets that everyone has to agree to, it becomes a lot more vague, and it seems more arbitrary what people can get banned for. It's definitely one of the weirder situations when it comes to the state of very popular competitive game. There's a small one, but still kind of a goofy one from the game The Stanley Parable. It's that game that like you walk around and there's some like good writing and a narrator narrating your every move, and it's kind of a clever game. It's cool. Nonetheless, if you go into the console of the game and you type in SV Cheats 1, you get transported into a little room called the Serious Room, which is kind of like an interrogation room. And long story short, the narrator will go on this like tirade talking about how bad it is to cheat and the seriousness of cheating. And then you're stuck in that room until you either are forced to quit the game out entirely or, I don't know, turn your computer off, start the game over. But yeah, there's nothing you can do to continue on after you get locked here.
Now, Mother, or Earthbound as it's known here, was a 1989 Famicom video game that released exclusively in Japan. It's a pretty good RPG and it has an insanely good story, plus it's also pretty challenging and, you know, a little confusing. Nonetheless, Nintendo did not want anyone to pirate this game or cheat in this game, because if the game detects that there's something wrong with the files on the cartridge, it will change the way the game actually plays out. The game will actually become harder and there will be enemies added to either sections where there's already enemies and there'll be just more enemies, or there'll be enemies in sections where there usually isn't enemies. But the big thing that happens is actually at the end, when you make it all the way to the final boss on this pirated copy, the game will just shut off. And once you reboot, you'll realize that your save file is completely gone and you'll have to start from the beginning. So you wasted a good 50 hours to get here, and then the game just deletes your save file because you're playing on an unlicensed copy. I think that's actually pretty funny and kind of like a creative way to deal with pirated copies and cheaters.
Okay, we need to talk about the Bovine Defense Force Initiative. This one actually comes from Witcher 3, because way back when the game first came out, there was essentially an exploit that players discovered where essentially when you're in the area known as the White Orchard, you could gain crowns incredibly quickly by just like running around, killing some poor innocent cows, and then you could like loot their hides and then meditate, and then the cows would respawn. From there, you could just keep doing this over and over and over and over and keep meditating so the cows would respawn over and over, and then you just sell all the cow hides, boom, infinite money glitch. Well, obviously this kind of breaks the game and it was something overlooked, so when they released the patch 1.05, CD Projekt Red had an official response, and they introduced the Bovine Defense Force Initiative, or the Bovine Defense Force for short. So they added this mechanic where essentially if 6 cows are killed, a level 27 chort will spawn in, which if you don't know what that is, it's this monster looking thing. And as a new player, unless you're really good, this thing will come in and make your time a whole lot less easy. If you do manage to kill it, guess what? A new one respawns. Now, on the flip side of this, players who are a little bit of a higher level could technically come here and just farm the chorts because it's just an instant respawn. But still, it's just a really clever way to stop kind of an early cheese that a lot of players could do. If only Call of Duty would have something like this for all of those poor cows that are dead across all of the Call of Duty games, maybe those cows would get to live to see, you know, a different war than whatever war that they're based on. I don't know where I'm going with that. All right, let's talk about the old Tomb Raider games, because I love this one. In the first Tomb Raider game, there was actually a cheat built into the game where if you walk 1 step forward, then take 1 step backwards, turn around 3 times, and then do a backflip, boom, you have access to all weapons and a refill of ammo. Incredible. However, if you thought you were thrifty, Tomb Raider 2 rolls around and actually has the same exact button combination, except this time around, if you enter the same inputs that you did from Tomb Raider 1, Laura will just explode. Yep, she's a goner. And they later brought it back in Tomb Raider 3, but with a different input required for the cheat. Now here's the thing, this cheat actually took it a step further because someone figured out that this was a cheat, that, you know, a little homage to the cheat from the first game. But they took it a step further and posted the instructions to pull off this Lara Croft exploding cheat, but instead labeled it as the Lara Croft nude cheat. where players thought they would be able to play as Lara Croft nude, and instead, when they put the cheat in, boom, they exploded. Really clever, whoever decided to just, you know, put that on those cheating forums and whatnot. Because back in the day, the cheating forums were like the Wild West. You could just make something up, post it, and people would share it around like it was true. And I'm sure that that happened because that cheat spread around. A lot of people believed it, or if they got tricked by it, would probably fool some of their friends with it as well.
If you ever played SimCity or even The Sims, there's money cheat codes, and I mean, those are probably the most common and most well-known cheat codes in those games. But SimCity actually had kind of a funny way to deal with people overusing this cheat code. Now, in the original SimCity from 1989, if you entered a cheat code fund, it would add $10,000 to your bank account. If you did this 3 times in one in-game year, it would trigger an earthquake that would destroy your city. So imagine you like reading that there's this cheat code to get some free money, and then you enter it 3 times because you get a little greedy, and just your whole city gets flattened by an earthquake. That's pretty funny. Especially, this was like before any of this was common knowledge. Now, by the time SimCity 2000 came out, the fun thing was a little more common knowledge, so that kind of changed the negative effect this cheat would have. Instead of causing an earthquake, this would actually give you a $10,000 bond with a 25% interest rate. And I mean, that's pretty bad for back then. Though apparently there was like a glitch where if you take out multiple bonds and then you take a real loan with like a 0% interest, the game glitches out and there's a negative interest rate, so the bank actually will be paying you. So that kind of backfired on Maxis. But it's still pretty funny that they kept this up for 2 games. And I think they got rid of this like fund debuff or whatever you want to call it after those games, and I don't think it's been in any of the other SimCity games. Though we also haven't seen a SimCity or a good SimCity game in a long time.
Who would have thought Animal Crossing would have been the game to implement some big punishments for cheating a little bit? But hey, here we are. Okay, like while I'm recording this, my neighbor, I think, just like let out like 10 dogs or something. It is insane out there. Like, I don't even know what to do. Now, if you guys don't know about Animal Crossing, mind you, I have a whole channel dedicated to Animal Crossing that I run on the side. Gotta get that free promo in. But Animal Crossing is a really interesting game. It runs concurrent to the real world time. So back before, you know, like mobile games existed that kind of did daily bounties and whatnot, this game would match your real life clock and new things would happen each day. You were playing at 5 o'clock in real life, it would be 5 o'clock in the game, as long as you didn't like adjust your game's clock, which obviously was something that you could do. A lot of players back in the day would change their system clock to move ahead so they can get more stuff done in a play or not have to wait for things to be available in the game. If you do a little bit of what is called time traveling, it's not that big of a deal. 1 day at a time, it's pretty harmless, but players who would jump large portions of time at a time would get to have some really weird things happen to their towns across the entire series. For instance, if you did a long period of time, your town could be covered in weeds when you finally do land in your new time traveled to time, and those are a pain to pick up. You could have villagers move out, your hair could be messy, there's a whole lot of things that can happen. Nothing too harsh, but enough of little punishments to maybe decentivize the use of time traveling aggressively. Even more so if you try to use time traveling to game the system, like using the in-game stock market. That's a whole other confusing mechanic. If you try to time travel backwards to sell your stocks at a higher price, the game will automatically tank the stock price when it reloads at a previous time before the furthest time forward that it had loaded in within that time traveling session. And there's just a lot of other little weird occurrences that can happen when you mess with the clock too much. Similarly, let's say you play the game and then you not save the game, or you want to reset or roll for something different. If you restart your game, you're greeted with the infamous Mr. Resetti, or at least in the games that didn't have autosave back in the day. This dude was the worst. He'd show up, he'd yell at you, make you feel bad for not saving your game, and he would just like talk and talk and talk. And he was pretty mean about it, actually. They even had to tone him down in later games because I guess some children were like scared of him, and his role's been drastically reduced in the newer titles. But yeah, still very interesting how this mechanic of Animal Crossing is just so important that there's all these little sub mechanics for how to handle people who are doing some very soft cheating. Persona 3, the original one, not the new one that just came out that's kind of awesome, but the old school Persona 3 actually had a really interesting way to interact with players who were caught using a game shark. Yeah, so Persona 3 actually had something built into the game that could indicate if a cheat device was being used, and if that was flagged while you're playing the game, nothing too dramatic would happen, except for some of the members in your party will straight up explain how they're disappointed in you for cheating, and they kind of know that you've been up to some, you know, extracurricular activities in Persona 3, like using a Game Shark to try to make the game easier. I mean, this isn't like the biggest punishment, it's just like telling you that you're a cheater. It's not gonna do something drastic like blow up your PlayStation or make you foreclose on your house, but at the same time, it was an interesting decision to implement something like that so few players would actually see, just the handful of people who did use a Game Shark on Persona 3, and now it's kind of an interesting point in a Rocket Sloth video down the road, so I guess it was worth it after all. So there was like a really common glitch way back in the day that was famous with the game Doom, where you would enter the keys IDDQD. It would essentially make it so your player like wouldn't get killed or was invincible for a bit. It was essentially the god mode of Doom. So the game Heretic thought it'd be funny if they just killed you on the spot if you entered those keys. Pretty great.
GTA Online has this mechanic where you get rewarded for being a good player and not griefing, and you get a little money for it. But also, if you're a griefer and you keep disrupting player gameplay, you get this dunce cap. And this cap kind of marks you as a bad sport for all the other players to see. But there's actually one way GTA 5 dealt with cheaters in GTA Online. And actually, I'm not talking about like the aimbotters or the wall hackers or anything like that. I'm actually talking about the players who used an exploit to get their single player vehicle into GTA Online. Specifically, this was discovered back in 2015 when someone managed to bring the Duke of Death car from the single player into GTA Online, which is a very overpowered armored vehicle that you only can access in the single player campaign usually. Now apparently Rockstar did a little patch, and instead of fixing the exploit, what they actually end up doing is punishing players who do this exploit by having the car explode as soon as they get in and killing them. So you're still able to do the exploit, but you know, it wouldn't be usable, you would just die.
There's other little cheats that exist out there that could cause corruption in games. Like Pokemon introduced the whole bad egg thing, which was more of a fail-safe mechanic that was implemented to stop like weird things like missing number to appear, which was commonplace in the older games. But bad egg ended up causing more corruption than maybe what it was intended to present as a failsafe. Maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but most people who experienced the bad egg glitch usually were cheating their game in some way or another, and that was the end result, but not always. It is interesting how this bad egg could cause serious corruption issues in your Pokemon save file. There's a ton of great videos online explaining what bad egg is and how it specifically works, but it was something that kind of scared me as a younger Pokemon player because I didn't want to like lose my Pokemon save file. If you've played Rainbow Six Siege on console for any amount of time, you probably know about this one, and you might know how frustrating this one can be. This is one that exists in more games than just Rainbow Six Siege too, but Rainbow Six is the one that comes to mind, especially with how a company has approached treating it. So front and foremost, Rainbow Six Siege does not allow players to use a mouse and keyboard in their game if you're playing on console. In a lot of games, you can just plug a mouse and keyboard up to your Xbox or your PlayStation, and the game supports it perfectly. But in an attempt to keep things fair, mouse and keyboard support on console isn't allowed. If you want to play with mouse and keyboard, you have to play on PC. However, this did not stop people from finding workarounds, and for a very long time, there's been devices, most notably Zim devices or other devices like Zim, which essentially is a little bypasser that tells the Xbox or the PlayStation that the inputs are coming from a controller, but really the inputs are coming from a mouse and keyboard, and then are being transmitted into like the same type of inputs that a controller would make to keep up with like a mouse and keyboard. This allowed for a pretty unfair advantage, and this isn't like a situation like in Fortnite, for example, where, you know, controller players, they have aim assist, so, you know, mouse and keyboard, they're at a different type of disadvantage or something. In Rainbow Six, there's no aim assist in competitive, so it's like a severe difference in who has the advantage when you're in a split-second gunfight where minuscule movement makes a massive difference. The whole meta in console is usually different from computer just because of the fact that controller-based gunfights go a lot differently than a mouse and keyboard gunfight. So for years, it's been very frustrating to start to get up into those higher ranks and have to face off against mouse and keyboard players. You know, at the lower ranks, it's not that big of a deal because usually the mouse and keyboard players, game sense-wise, are so bad that even with cheating, they can't win. But once you start to get up to the players who used to be good at controller and then switch to mouse and keyboard so that they get that little extra advantage, it just became a mess and it became very unfair. It probably was one of the biggest complaints from the Rainbow Six Siege community for a long time. And finally, around year 7 of the game being supported, Ubisoft announced that they were going to do something about the mouse and keyboard players once and for all. And it wasn't what a lot of the people who were playing the game legitimately thought it would be. So Luke and I play a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, probably more Rainbow Six Siege than we'd like to admit, and we've spent a lot of time on console Siege, playing with controllers the way you're supposed to. I have to say, the announcement of Mousetrap was incredibly frustrating.
It was crazy that we have been dealing with this issue of cheaters on console for so long, and that they implement this weak system that kind of is like a little slap on the wrist, not even that.
Yeah, so essentially, the way that this works with their implementation to solve the cheating issue is not to just ban the people that they know are cheating, right? Instead, they would progressively give you more and more input delay the more you used mouse and keyboard, which meant not only was it really easy to find workarounds pretty quickly, but also some players would just play with a controller 80% of the time, and then when they get into one of those clutch moments, they would just switch to their mouse and keyboard Zim input, or eventually it didn't even matter because there was a bypass found that just made Mousetrap not even work at all.
Yeah, for months you would like spawn in games, and like at the beginning of the round, the people cheating would just spin with their controller because they would emulate a controller motion, and I guess that told the Mousetrap that like you're using a controller, and that would be enough to like play with mouse and keyboard the rest of the round to kind of like trick the system.
I remember like us watching kill cams dying and losing these ranked matches, and like we'd be so confused because there'd be this quick like 360 spin. We're like, what is that? And then we realize, oh, like from the way they're shooting, okay, they're cheating. Like, okay. And there's nothing you can do about it. And obviously, Ubisoft choosing not to just be strict and just ban players who are cheating, like, it just encourages more people. It's like, well, if they're not getting banned, if you want to keep up with the players who are playing at the top level, you have to essentially buy Zim and start cheating to keep up. It is dumb.
But, like, it's just so dishonest for, like, this competitive game allowing cheating. Like, I don't know what kind of precedent that sets. I think it's pretty awful.
Now they're doing a new approach where they're going to be taking people who are using mouse and keyboard on console and making them play against PC players using mouse and keyboard, which is what they should have done from the beginning. It's going to be hilarious to see these people who think they're really good cheating with mouse and keyboard against console players. It's going to be really satisfying to watch them just get completely destroyed by the people on PC who've been playing legitimately for years. I don't know, like, I can see some people trying to justify it, say like, oh, well, it's accessibility, it's my preferred way of playing. It doesn't matter though, the game doesn't allow it, and you're using a third-party device to use something you're not supposed to use. Like, I can't support that, and I think Ubisoft was so scared of losing a large portion of their player base because so many people were actually using Zim. Like, I think that has to be the only reason. Like, they must have looked at their statistics and realized, like, the number had to have been in like the thousands, right?
I always said 70% of the players in my game are cheating.
Yeah, and I always thought you were exaggerating.
I mean,
towards I don't know. It got to the point when we were playing like in like gold platinum, like it did seem like no matter what, at least 2 people in every game were using Zim, and that. It wasn't quite 70%, but I mean, what? 70% of every game we played, there was at least 1 or 2 cheaters in it. Like, what's the point? Like, we can play on PC, right? And just play on mouse and keyboard on PC. But, like, we have friends who only have consoles. So we just want to play with them. They only play with a controller. Like, I don't know, it's just dumb.
And I mean, also, it's a different game on console. It just feels different. I don't know, it's like a complete different... But, like, there's no competitive integrity. And also, there was another thing where they gave this cheater, like the streamer who's simming openly on console, like a charm.
Right. Did they eventually take it away after Backlash?
They think they did, but it's essentially like they paid someone for cheating now. You know what I mean? Like, it's great. This is crazy, you know?
Especially because it's like a game that we actively have played for a long time. I was playing since the game launched 2015, and you came in like Operation Health? Like a year and a half later?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't remember, but yeah.
So, I mean, we've been playing the game for a long time, both on PC, both on console, or both PC and console. You know, I always thought that it'd be nice that if a controller player wants to play with mouse and keyboard players on the PC, they should be allowed to, but it shouldn't force controller players to have to go against mouse and keyboard players.
It's the only part in this video where we talk about, like, the cheaters not getting banned or, like, not getting any punishment, right?
If anything, now they're finally, like, supporting the cheaters by, like, adjusting the game to fit them. Allowing them to play with PC players is what they should have been able to do from the beginning, right? Crossplay should have been there way back. At least when they activated crossplay for consoles like Xbox and PlayStation, and they did the whole like Steam and what was it, Stadia crossplay?
Yes, Steam Stadia.
Steam and Stadia crossplay. They should have implemented the crossplay between console and PC and just put those controller mouse, because there is an audience. There's obviously people who don't have money to buy a PC and they have an Xbox or PlayStation, and it's like, okay, then if that's all they have, then just enable mouse and keyboard play without them. Just let them plug it in like other games let you do on like the Xbox, but then put them with PC players. That's what they should have done from the beginning, and I don't know why they did the whole mousetrap thing. It was
right, but I do have to say, like, I don't know how good this new system is gonna be at catching these players and putting them in the right lobbies, because I don't think it's gonna work.
The existence of mousetrap alone frustrates me, because it's like, we've implemented a system where we can tell that people are cheating, and that's it. Like, they didn't do anything about it.
I mean, I don't think they detect 90% of the cases where people are cheating. I gotta be honest. I think all this anti-cheat stuff in modern days, it's just like propaganda to be like, yeah, we're doing something about it.
A big PR move.
In reality, they're just making money off the cheaters, and they just want to keep them like on their platform, and they don't care about the competitive integrity of the games. And also, like, there's probably not a single developer at Ubisoft who can get out of silver.
You're convinced about that?
I built someone prove me that there's a Ubisoft employee who's like higher than gold or anything. I don't think there can't be with the changes they're making.
It is frustrating with how much the game is like just tried to recently, like, Ranked has just tried to emulate like top level pro league gameplay, and not just like that in between strictly casual and like top level competitive. Like, there's no regular ranked middle ground like you would see in like other games like Overwatch and stuff.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
We just ranted about Rainbow Six for a hot minute. There are some other games though that have done interesting things to combat cheaters or other things. I didn't know if this next one really should have counted, but I wanted to bring it up here just to throw it out there. Game Dev Tycoon. This one isn't necessarily to combat cheaters, but I thought it was really clever. But essentially, there's a version of the game that I think was probably leaked or released by the team that developed Game Dev Tycoon. They leaked it onto like all the websites where people pirate games. And essentially, like, once you reach a certain part of the game, there's like a dialogue saying that like your game that you developed has been pirated, resulting in like a major loss in sales, and the game just like gets exponentially harder. It's kind of on the nose for people who pirate that version of the game, that's the version that does that to you. So I thought that one was interesting and worth mentioning.
So like, it'll just be like, okay, I guess, yeah, that's what happens when you steal from the company, I guess, they're just doing it to yourself.
Yeah, you're just doing it with your own Game Dev Tycoon. There was also the infamous Banjo Kazooie cheating thing. Essentially, there was like a special room back in the old Banjo Kazooie game for the Nintendo 64 where you could enter cheat codes with like these platforms that had all these letters on it. This one never happened to me specifically, so I don't know like the ins and outs of it, but essentially or allegedly, if you entered too many cheat codes, eventually the game would punish you by like corrupting your game save after a while.
Yeah, I guess that's a harsh punishment.
Like, I guess like it's like tied into the game. It's not like just like an error thing or something, but if you do too many cheat codes, then Gruntilda, the evil witch from the game, will like give you like a message saying like she's gonna delete your save file if you keep going, and then if you keep going, you keep adding more cheats. Yeah, I guess you can lose your game save file. Once again, I didn't do this one, but I remember hearing about this one all the way back in the day. I see it talked about a lot still today, so I'm just gonna assume it's real.
Right, and I mean, like, we've talked about similar things in this video, like the Earthbound thing, right, where they delete your save file if you have a pirated copy. Back in those days, it was like the Wild West of trying to punish cheaters. Or SimCity is also reminiscent of it, where like it just sets off an earthquake if you cheat too much.
And then Donkey Kong 64, which was the same developer as Banjo Kazooie, also did something like with the anti-pirating thing, where like the game would just like not function correctly if you were pirating a copy of the game, or if it detected that you had a pirated.
Like in what way?
So apparently, like, if it doesn't recognize like a specific lockout chip or something, it can cause your game just to randomly erase all save data, but not like on the spot. Like, it'll just randomly occur when you're playing at some point.
I wonder if like that could be a speedrun category. Can you beat it before the anti-piracy detects your pirated copy and the corrupted save file?
That's not the first time the like N64 games did stuff like that. Like, we know that like anti-piracy has been kind of a thing for a long time, where there's little nods to piracy and whatnot. Or like the fact that you might be playing a pirated version of the game. Like Legend of Zelda did the whole thing with Zelda's hair standing up or whatever. Spyro the Dragon, do you remember that one having like a crazy anti-piracy thing where like you could play through, I think, a large portion of the game? I think there was like in-game dialogue about how you were playing a pirated version of the game. Like, the game would straight up tell you that you were playing like an illegal copy of Spyro.
Wait, like they would call you out like on the spot?
Yeah, they would like tell you like, hey, you're not playing a legit. Hold on, let me look this up. No, mind you, there are a lot of fake piracy videos and stuff out there because it kind of became this like sub-genre creepypasta ARG thing where people would make fake anti-piracy things. But there definitely was a real one for Spyro.
I see. Yeah, the one I just found might be fake.
Here, there is one though. I found it. I think this one's real because it has like the voice acting and stuff in it. Let me send it to you.
I'm sorry, Spyro, but you seem to be playing a hacked version of this game. This may be an illegal copy. Since this copy has been modified, you may experience problems that would not occur on a legal copy.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like a fairy telling you that you're playing a pirated version of the game.
I think that one's real. It's really hard now to start to tell like which ones are legit and which ones are fake because there's so many that like with this new genre, people making their own fan anti-piracy things. I mean, it's a cool subgenre, but for, you know, gaming research and history, it is a little more confusing. Someone tried to do 100% of a pirated version of Spyro 3, and essentially when you get to the sorceress's fight, it'll just reset your save no matter what. So I guess there were multiple things put into the game to make it harder to play through and then also not possible to play through, to the point where it just frustrated players enough to where they would go and just actually purchase the real game, maybe.
I mean, like, that's interesting though. That's like there has been a couple times this video where they did that, where they just make the game harder, or like you're not able to finish the game, you waste all your time, and then you're not actually able to beat any bosses or the last boss, and then the game crashes. You can't do anything about it.
Right. I think it's interesting, just like the whole subsection of piracy games in itself. Maybe that's a topic we should look into at one point. Maybe down the road. I feel like that could be an interesting like video to just dive into like the lore of piracy in games, you know what I mean? Because there's so much
craziest piracy protections.
Yeah, or not even just the protections, but like just the things that existed, like all those bootleg games that would come out, and I don't know, it's interesting. Like,
yeah, I guess bootleg games are like a dead genre now. Like
maybe, but still they're made also. Like
right, but not of new games at least.
Right. Unless we find something, I don't know. Researching could be fun,
dude. Like a bootleg, I don't know, Elden Ring.
I don't know. I like that idea. Team Fortress 2 actually did something back in the day, I guess, to try to stop some cheating that was going on. It wasn't like as much of like cheating with like a third-party device, but there was like a big issue with like AFK players who would go on there and be AFK for the game just to get like the XP for being there for the game and try to unlock whatever. What did you get in Team Fortress 2 for playing?
I mean, there's item drops and stuff. Yeah, but like they're worth real money, technically. Or they are worth real money. It's like the Steam Marketplace that's tied into that. So you could get good drops and then, make profit, I guess, by being AFK.
Essentially, they did something, though, where there was like some cosmetic that was only given out to players who didn't cheat, called the Cheater's Lament. And it was like a golden halo that was awarded to players who refrained from like AFK farming their Team Fortress 2 games. Something that they threw out there at some point.
I mean, they're not going to focus on the actual cheaters with their crappy VAC system. They're like,
What do you mean VAC is crappy, dude?
Yeah, I've played Counter-Strike. I know they don't ban cheaters.
Didn't you tell me like one time, like 10 years ago, there was like some kid on your team who was cheating?
That was Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, we had a kid in our clan.
Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah. Well, we played Counter-Strike with him too. It wasn't our Counter-Strike, but we played Modern Warfare 2 one night, and then like, we're just playing it, I think we're playing like SND, like scrims or something. And like all of a sudden the kid's dad comes in and like, talks to the kid a little bit, and then like after talking to the kid for like a minute, the dad is like, yo, what are these boxes on your screen? And then the kid like mutes real quick. And we're like, what the hell? And then after that, we kicked him out of the clan.
Dang, dude. Dude, there's so much drama in, like, Call of Duty clans back in the day. Like, I don't know. I was in so many Call of Duty clans when I was, like, 14. I don't know. It was awesome. Those were some good old days, dude.
I mean, yeah, I still hang out with the people from my Counter-Strike clan, so, hey.
Do you think someone out there is still running a JTAG Xbox 360?
Yeah, probably, there's a good amount. I mean, not, like, a crazy amount.
Like, offering, like, 10th Prestige lobbies a month. I feel like there's now other ways to hack Call of Duty lobbies to get 10th Prestige without having to have a JTAG Xbox, but back then that was like the thing to do.
Right, but there's people who invested in the JTAG Xbox, and like at that point they're probably like not gonna just randomly stop doing it.
But don't you think it's been so long since then at that point?
I don't know. I feel like these nerds like probably like that's all they do.
I mean, we did have that one person when we were doing Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, Black Ops 2 Zombies, who had like the modded access or whatever, and like while we were playing, like kept like offlining us by like logging into your profile.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, those nerds. Like, I don't know.
That was the dumbest
virgins,
thing,
dude. That's what I'm calling.
That guy straight up like was just looking for literally the only people left playing Black Ops 2 Zombies that night, found us playing Black Ops 2 Zombies, saw your username, and would just log into your username, which would then offline you because it thought you were logging in somewhere else. And then he reset my Black Ops 2 rank, which wasn't even a high rank to begin with, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. What a nerd, dude. What a low life.
Yeah, it was insane. So Luke, how do you feel about this video? Do you think we've talked about some interesting instances of games punishing players?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely hope that there'll be more harsh punishments in the future for cheaters, because I actually think a lot of video games in the future are going to get ruined by all these cheaters. And I hope we see more harsh punishments so we can make a sequel to this someday.
I'd like to see like more on the nose things. I feel like sometimes like the game companies that do things and like throw people in a lobby together, they know that people are going to like report on it and there's going to be a little bit of PR buzz. Like, that's fun. I want to see like more extreme stuff though.
I want to see jail sentences.
I like jail sentences. Let's do that.
You have to tell your neighbors that you've been caught cheating in Call of Duty Online.
Yeah, they go to you, bro. Knock on your door. I'm on the registered gaming cheat list.
Yeah.
Cheating offenders list. Or registered Call of Duty cheating offender. No, I think they need to do that. And like massive fines. I don't know the legalities on how they could do it, but
I think like in Korea they have an interesting system where you gotta, if you sign up for a game account, you gotta use your ID. And I mean, like, maybe if you only are able to make one Steam account in your lifetime, and then you get banned for cheating, you just never play video games again. And I mean, I think that's fair too. Something more extreme like that.
Bring back the Xbox bans to like for till 9,999, December 31st, 9,999.
Or maybe it'll be like that Black Mirror episode where you see like everybody's social rank or something. I've never seen the episode, but and like it'll just label them as cheater.
Nosedive,
yeah.
Nosedive's the episode. You should watch that episode, dude.
I've seen clips from it.
They just watch it. Why would you'll watch like 5 or 6 20-minute clips on YouTube?
No, it was like 30-second clips on Twitter, dude.
Just watch the episode's like an hour long, dude.
I don't know. I watched one episode, I got really bored, and I never wanted to watch it again.
But you're so intrigued with the concept that you're talking about it on our podcast, but you won't watch the episode.
I just tried to visualize it, you know what I mean? What we should do in the future with cheaters.
Just watch the episode.
Maybe.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Huge shout out to our patrons. Their names are on the screen now. We appreciate you, especially this person.
I think you're putting it the wrong way, but yeah.
This person.
Yeah, there we go.
Use GamersUps. Use code RocketSlot to check out to help support our channel directly.
10% off.
Yeah, and we have a pretty big Call of Duty video coming up sometime in the future, so look forward to that. Make sure you guys watch that. And otherwise, we'll see you guys all soon with a new video.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye, guys.